Hi, this is Rick Harsh, chief editor of Corona Samizdat. Some call him a writer, uh, some don't. I got a fan letter today. There's one guy who thinks I'm a writer. Uh, but I'm usually in public circumstances talking about Corona Samizdat books as their chief editor. Um, and I came across a phenomenon many years ago, and today I thought I'd talk about it. It's the reader's random book cases, or wherever books congregate outside of the established bookcases. Um, what that often means, in my case, is a little bookcase that comes out of nowhere and ends up in an odd place here. I have, this wasn't really a bookcase, isn't really a bookcase, or was it? I don't know. It's not perfect, and I got some books down there, and this is the main balcony area for me. And I thought it'd be interesting to go through, and this is kind of like an unboxing. Um, Naturally, as a editor of a press, I have books by my press out here, and and I'm not going to go through all those because I go through those other times, and I think what ends up out here, and why. There's oh, there's a little problem getting them. The first shelf is up here, and the first book is Moby Dick, but it's not the actual Moby Dick. What I keep in Moby Dick is actually one of the books we have, but it's the Arjuna and the Good Snake, which a good snake is cobra, Nalapamba in Tamil, and this is a cobra skin cover that was made by a local person. Only 3 copies exist in the world, and you can't have it. Sorry. I gave one to my son, Arjun, and I sold one to a great Australian man. So let's go to the other books on this shelf. One is by me, but it's in French. The Driftless Zone was translated as Le Bal des Inerts. I think that means the dance of the inert, but inert probably has a broader meaning or a more specific meaning, one or the other, in French. So this was put out mass market paperback, and before it was distributed, the publisher went bankrupt. So I got one copy, and I didn't have to pay for it. And then I have it looks like particularly a Latin American shelf, but it's not. It's only 2/3 Latin American. 3 books by Juan Jose Sayer, an Argentinian writer who doesn't really get his due. He's very popular in South America, not just in Argentina where he's from, but this is The Witness, very good book. This is Scars, another very good book. And this is The Regal Lemon Tree, which is hopefully a very good book. I haven't read it yet. A lot of the books out here are like that. They come out here for, well, I don't know. I mean, of interest only to me, probably, to find out how they all got out here. But here's The Shipyard, Juan Carlos Onetti, and this is his most popular book, I think the most well-known book. My favorite is called A Brief Life, and I've read everything by Onetti except The Shipyard, and I'm not sure why that is. The first one I read was called Body Snatcher, which made me fall in love with him, and then I went to A Brief Life, and then I found a bunch of them at this half-price store in the U.S., and I bought whatever they had. And this I got because you got to read The Shipyard, right? Or you don't know Onetti. So I don't know Onetti. Then there was, this is an interesting one that has been around. I've had this book longer than I've had almost any book. The Facade by Libuse Monikova. This is a Czech writer, and I started. Somebody bought it for me without. Just thought, oh, I bet Harsh would like this. You know, I like a lot of. I've read a lot in translation, always have, and I know that I read some pages into this not too long ago, a couple of years ago maybe, and I thought this is good, and so it ended up out here where a lot of good books come, and the last one on that shelf is The Robber by Robert Walser, a hilarious book another one that I didn't finish, but you know I could tell by the markings, you know it suffered a little bit from being outside. It got wet, and so you know. But here's one thing that I underlined here: one rarely sees goiters circulating in public these days. Anybody who talks about goiters is my kind of writer. And then to make an observation like that, it's true. When's the last time you saw a goiter circulating in public or anywhere? Okay, then we have this shelf that's all Corona Samizdat books, but beneath it, there's this is a photocopied book of Slovene. Let's see. The three men were very busy. They did not talk nor smoke. Vsi trije so zelo pridno delali, niso ne klepetali ne kadili. There's your Slovene for the day. If you want to know more, contact me at my my brothel. Oh, but the reason I even bothered with this is because underneath is one of the best books about U.S. foreign policy I've ever read. This is The Politics of Heroin, CIA Complicity in the Global Drug Trade by Alfred W. McCoy. He teaches at the University of Wisconsin, where many great historians worked. I've read this not front to back twice, but I read it twice. And there's marks all over here, and I guess I shouldn't read the marks in all the books that I've made, but that's a great book, and it's out here for reasons I can't recall. But now we're getting into the. Let me just move a couple of other things end up here besides books, like lighters and bottles and coconut ashtrays. Made in India. That's that there didn't work out. I tried to kind of lacquer the thing, but there's real snakeskin under there. And then there's my artwork, which, as you can see, is I think my son might have made this, which I may say simply because I don't want to admit that I'm like a 3-year-old when I make art. So these things end up here. There's a pen and a notebook here. But let's start getting into some of the other books here. This one is The Adventures and Misadventures of Macro by Alvaro de Mutis, which is often my #1 book when I list the best works of fiction ever written. I think it answers that question, what would you take to a desert island? I wouldn't go to a desert island. I'd go to a jungly island. But if I had to choose one book, this might be the one. And if it isn't, this might be the one. Finnegan's Wake. This is infinite. And so maybe Finnegan's Wake. So interesting that there's 2 in a row that are stacked here. Now we get an odd bunch of books. An Ermine in Chernobyl, which is Chernovitz, one of those sad, um, sad towns in the lost regions of the beginnings of Eastern Europe. Probably southern Ukraine today, and once was heavily populated with Jews and also a variety of neighboring peoples, and so that in retrospect, writing nostalgically, it's hilarious and humane. And the author, Gregor von Retzeri, who died not terribly far from here in Italy, which is that way, and wrote many books that were more famous. The Death of My Brother Abel, which I read not too long ago. So and it's a New York Review of Books classic, as is Motise. Here's one that just recently has become well known or better known, Grimish by Michael Winkler, which is an Australian book about a boxer who in Australia went around getting the shit beat out of him, but being able to take it for extraordinary long periods of time. I don't know. I haven't. It looks like I read the first. Yep, that's a genuine bookmark. First 4 chapters up to page 16, and I have to finish it. It's not a difficult long read, but I need to find out why it's so great. Other than the preposterous notion of a book about a guy who gets a shit beat out of him all the time, being a boxer. This is Pest by Michael Sisko. There's praise for it on the back. I'll tell you who praised it. Brian Evenson, China Mieville, Thomas Ligotti, we know him. Weird Fiction Review. Okay, I have yet to read this and even see what it's about. I got it at the same time I got Grimish, and so it goes. This is the Belan deck by a fairly well-known book reviewer, podcaster, by what was his name? Matt Bucher. Yeah, Matt Bucher. I read this immediately upon getting it, and it was terrific. And I just saw something underlined. Let me see what I underlined. Has anyone ever said of a PowerPoint deck, could you read it in one sitting? Response, as a compliment? There's something very funny about that. And it's that kind of book. It's a little bit of a combination of Marxon and who was that travel writer? Bruce Chatwin's great book in which he goes to Australia with Salman Rushdie. Erskine Caldwell. I believe I picked this up at a table here in Isla. Maybe not, I don't know. It's called Claudel. And I read quite a bit of it 1 or 2 days and then didn't finish it. And then we've got a real oddity here. At the Blue Monkey by Walter Cerner. Now, he's one of those guys who's considered a Cubist or Dadaist, not Cubist, Dadaist writer, or Surrealist, or something, but who probably would say, I am not, and I was not, but an interesting fellow, and, probably the best writings that came from him were on, bathroom walls and so on, and prostitutes' asses and that kind of thing. But that's not saying these aren't interesting stories. If you want to delve a little bit into the milieu of the Dadaists, it's a good book for that. It's considered a bit of a crime book. I think if I remember the introduction right, it was considered a bit of a crime book. There are a lot of interesting people like him. He's I would compare him to Walser in the sense that he was not much given his due at the time he was writing, or if he was, it was quickly forgotten. And what was about 25 years ago, Walser's books were redeemed. Let's see, this was in 2000. I think I bought this when it first came out in 2000. So I think him and Cerner, they're the oddities of the 20th century, not the only ones. One who's less of an oddity is Kathy Acker. This is a line of books, Penguin Simpletons, I think I call them. It's 45 pages of Kathy Acker, and I the first thing I read was a bunch of prostitutes talking, and I think Kathy Acker. I've been trying to get a hold of her novels for some time. I think there's a great deal worthwhile, but this so far not so good. Let's see, we got these are pressed books. And I'm going to stop soon because I realize this is going on for a long time. Maybe I can, if anybody likes this, I might do another one. Okay, I can't see the point in digging way down here to get the giant Pessoa biography, which before it started getting books put on top of it, I was reading every day a page, 2 pages, 5 pages. And so I'm well into it. But maybe 1/10, 100 pages or so. And on top of that is Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. And then on top of that is a notebook and an older copy of one of ours. And so these, this is a pile of ours. And then we get to the remarkable David Peace, Tokyo Year Zero. He wrote, if you don't know David Peace, look him up, I guess is the best way to go about it. But if you don't know all of David Peace, there's the Tokyo series, trilogy, plus there was a book in the style of Ryo Akutagawa, I believe. And then this was part of a trilogy. This one was given to me by someone who once liked me. And that's true of a couple of these books. And may still like me if she's alive, I don't know. But it says, Escape from the 19th Century and Other Essays by... What? I can't read that. Lamborn Wilson. It's so fancy. Peter Lamborn Wilson. The medallions on here are Nietzsche, Proudhon, Marx, and Fourier. And I did read on the toilet one day, I read a chapter, and it was really interesting. And more interesting is that, it says, Dear Rick, I thought this could be your guy. Happy birthday, with love. And her name, Peter Lamborn Wilson. There he is. Yeah. And so what could be an amazing book, buried all these years and finally picked up in the bathroom. Then there's a friend bought me a copy of Moby Dick that, it actually, look how thin it is, but it just has thin paper and very tiny font. I've read it many times, but I haven't read this copy yet. So, and everybody's got this on their random bookshelf or bookcase. Ibn Khaldun's The Muqaddimah, An Introduction to History. Really fascinating old Islamic view of history, or I don't know if it's an Islamic view, it's an Islamic person, but it's really good. And then there's World Light by Haldor Laxness, who this book was recommended by one of my favorite readers, and I'm on page 56, and I've had it for over a year, so I'm not sure you know, he's never steered me wrong, but you know, I think it was sometimes I think my politics and his are so alike that you know we're going to like a certain number of books. Like we both like to read Spanish Civil War novels, but that one I think he might have liked it more than I could, maybe, or maybe I'm just a lazy ass who hasn't read it yet. Uh, that's it for now. I didn't even get to there's this is the Rick Harsh shelf with translated books and a few others. I think I keep a Vardaman in there. Seshu Foster is always up there, and you know, two personal favorites as human beings and so on. And just a second, the portable Walt Whitman and Colossus of Marusi, and otherwise just mine. So let's just leave it at that. Thank you for paying whatever attention you paid. And if you buy any books from us, thanks for paying for them. If you steal any, thanks for wanting them. If you don't want any, thanks for something. I mean, I'm thankful. I'm a thankful man. Bye-bye.